Hi there guys, it's Ross from Jetski Safaris. Just doing a short video about jet skiing in the winter. We quite often get asked whether it's possible to jet ski out in the conditions in the winter months. It certainly is, you just need to maybe bear an extra few things in mind, and that's why we made this video for you today. We're just going to run through a few helpful tips to consider. So, first thing you want to be thinking about is what is the weather doing in your local area before you go out jet skiing. One of the most important things weather-wise to look at is what the wind conditions are doing, because that's going to affect the sea state. So we're going to have a little look at some of the helpful apps we find, and we use Windy, XC Weather, Wind Guru, and you find that if we look at all of them and try and get an average, hopefully we get a good clear picture of what's going on with the weather. So I'm just going to have a quick look now at Windy and show you what you might want to be looking for. Okay guys, so we've talked about the importance of checking the weather before you head out on the water, and just going to show you now over an app we use quite a lot here at Jetski Safaris, which is Windy. There are others you can use as well, such as the Met Office or XC Weather, and it's always good to take a few apps and check that they're all reading the same. If we open up Windy, and I'll just head back here, so basically you can search for your spot here, or if you have a fairly regular spot you go out to, you can save it as a favourite. So we'll just have a look here at Sandbanks, which is one of our local spots, and you can see it's lovely graphical display here. You've got your map at the top, chart at the top, coming down to your weather here. You've got your wind speed and your wind gusts and the temperature, and you've also got if there's any rain. And nice feature of this app is if you click on it here, you can actually scroll through hour by hour and see where the wind's coming from up on the map and what the swell's doing. And really handy feature for when you're out on the water is also being able to see what's happening with the tide. So you can work out if you've got wind against tide, making it slightly rougher, or wind going with the tide, which might make it slightly smoother. So that's a really great feature of this app, having the tide directly tied into the weather as well. If I scroll back up, I can zoom out a little bit, and that will help me see whether I'm going to be dealing with a offshore wind and onshore wind, which again will vary on what the sea state's going to do. If I pop back, if I want a big picture of what's going on, I can zoom out here, and again using the colour coding here you can start to see the weather systems a bit more, or you can zoom right in. Again, if you're making a bit of a passage, you could see whether you're going to be facing again onshore winds, offshore winds, and the strength. And you can move along here, and it should give you the different forecasts at the different times. So we can see tomorrow the wind calming down and going back into the blue and the green. So that's Windy, a really good app, really helpful for planning your time out on the water. Okay, so we've taken a look at Windy now, worked out what the sea conditions are going to be. The other things to consider are going to be the air temperature and obviously the sea temperature this time of year, which is going to drop right off since when you might last have been in the autumn time. So one thing to bear in mind is if you do fall in that water once or twice, maybe even more times, are you going to get very cold very quickly, or are you going to have decent kit on that's going to mean your session can keep going? So what we're going to do now is just have a look at some kit which might help you ride a bit longer out in those winter conditions. So, kit-wise, one of the big debates is going to be wetsuit versus dry suit. Personally, I actually find a decent winter wetsuit warmer sometimes than a dry suit. Dry suits are great for ease of getting in and out of them, keeping a nice woolly bear on underneath and keeping you warm. But if you find that you're sweating underneath that dry suit, and there's quite a strong wind, then it can actually work out a bit cooler than a nice warm wetsuit. Complete personal preference. If you do go for a wetsuit, you want to really be looking at either a 5'3" or a 6'4". Just remember, the thicker wetsuit you go, the less manoeuvrability in your arms and legs you're going to have, but the modern suits now are still pretty good. So wetsuit or dry suit, your option. Make sure it's a fairly decent and warm one. Moving on. Going to want some nice warm booties. Again, if you can get some 5mm ones, fairly decent grip. They're going to keep your feet nice and warm. Some gloves, okay. Little top tip here. at Jetski Safaris, grab yourself a box of these latex gloves, okay? And then what you want to do is just put a pair of those on underneath your normal gloves. And I find what that does is it actually keeps your hands dry, and then put your normal hands over the top, normal gloves over the top, and that stops them feeling wet and cold, and an extra bit of warmth in your hands. Brilliant, got our gloves on. Top half of our, so we got our heads, we can either wear a beanie or a balaclava. Again, some people feel quite restricted in a balaclava or a beanie. So with all of this kit, what you've got, what I would suggest once you've put it on, good top tip, is to put it all on and actually, before you go out jet skiing, check how comfortable you feel in it. Because you don't want to whack it all on, go out on the water and feel quite restricted and not free to move. On top of your wetsuits, another great bit of kit is either to go for a neoprene jacket or a spray top. These add a really good extra bit of warmth, they keep you nice and insulated, especially through the winter. Obvious impact protection, your buoyancy aid. Going to put that, if you put that on top of everything, again it's just going to be an extra layer of warmth for you. And then finally, again personal preference, but whether you want to go for some goggles or some glasses, because there might be a bit more spray out there to keep the water out of your eyes. Okay then guys, so we've had a look at personal safety gear. Now we're just going to have a think about kit to take out on the ski with us and some other safety bits. So number one essential bit of safety kit is our VHF. Okay, with the VHF, please make sure you've got this attached to yourself. Stick it in a buoyancy aid, put the loop round so you don't risk losing it. Okay, and vitally make sure you know how to use it. Okay, there's RYA VHF courses which will give you your license, so it's certainly worth considering going on one of those before you use VHF. Another means of contact would be a mobile phone. Now one of our top tips would be iPhones these days, any kind of tablet phone, they're about £700-800. Do you want to risk taking that out on the water with you when you could literally buy a £20 phone from the supermarket, put £15 worth of credit on it, have some crucial numbers on it, and then just take that out on the water with you every time you go jet skiing. The great thing about these phones as well, compared to the modern smartphone, is that their battery life is about 10 times as long, so you don't have to worry about the battery life dying when you're out there, should you ever need it in an emergency. That obviously can be transported in the glove box, but VHF on us. Moving on, other safety kit we would look to have in the front of the jet ski would be our grab bag, spare kill cord, first aid kit in there, some flares, okay, serrated knife, gonna have a tow rope, okay, ideally 6 meters long minimum, and another top tip, save you having to do knots with cold hands, have a carabiner on each end. And then we've also got just an anchor with some chain in there as well, because if your jet ski breaks or anything like that and you want to just tie it off the beach, that can always be useful. So that's our safety kit. Next bit of advice for you really is try and ride with someone, okay? Especially during the winter months, you don't really want to be going jet skiing out there on your own. If you've got a buddy or there's a part of a club, put a post out, just see if anyone else is going jet skiing, and try and take someone with you. It just gives you that extra blanket of security. Next thing, just make sure that you let someone know where you're going. Someone on the shore, give them a rough time you expect to be back. If you are out there having fun and you're well beyond that time, do take a minute to stop, text them, phone them, let them know that you're still out there and you're still safe, just in case they do start thinking about contacting someone if you're still missing. The other option is the RYA Safe Tracks app, which we can show you as well, which is a great bit of kit for planning a route or giving some emergency contact details and an estimated time of arrival back. Brilliant. Okay guys, so we're nearly there. One last thing we want to do is obviously have a check over our ski. Alright, if we look in the engine bay, some of the things we're going to want to look at, like any kind of check before you go out skiing. Is there any water in there? Is there any oil in there? If there's a large amount of either, you might want to be concerned. Get a local engineer to check it over. If you're riding quite a lot in the winter and it's a bit rougher, a bit more waves conditions, and you're bouncing around, you're going to want to check your engine mounts. The only way really you can check your engine mounts is to get quite physical with your engine and just see if you can lift it right up. So to get your hand under, if you can lift it, get it from either side. If you can lift it at all, then chances are that one of your engine mounts is gone. Okay, so vital to check that. Coolant's okay. Might be checking our oil as well. Other checks we want to do, what fuel we've got. Again, with fuel, we always want to try and go by the rule of thirds. So I would always advise going out with a full tank. So you have a third out there, a third to get back, and a third in reserve. Okay, great guys, I hope you found that helpful. Some useful tips for getting out there and getting jet skiing in the winter. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel. We're going to be putting a few training videos, helpful videos up over the next few months. Also, if you're not keen on jet skiing in the winter, then please be sure to watch our video of how to winterize your jet ski. Cheers.